I sat at the dinner table while they laughed about how old people shouldn't live with young families. My son-in-law said, "Your time's past. Make room." My daughter smiled. I cleared the plates in silence. But when the family attorney called them unexpectedly, they learned the truth I'd kept quiet for 18 years. I never wanted to live with my daughter and her husband. I didn't ask. After my hip surgery, I planned to recover in my little house with the blue shutters and worn porch swing, the one Charles and I lived in for almost 40 years. But Melanie said, "It's too far from the hospital. Come stay with us." At first, I thought she meant it. I thought she cared. They had just moved back to Spokane after a fire ruined their rental. I remember Melanie's voice on the phone, all soft and sweet, "Just until we get on our feet again." That was 6 years ago. Now, somehow, they call it their house. I gave up my room when the kids needed space. I started sleeping in the den, on a fold-out couch that sinks in the middle. I didn't say a word when they painted over the wallpaper Charles picked out. Or when they threw away the rocking chair he built. Or when they had my rose bushes ripped up because the HOA said it looked messy. I cooked. I cleaned. I watched my grandsons every day after school. I picked up their toys, folded their laundry, made sure dinner was on the table by 6. Then came that night. The night they left. It was just a normal dinner. Spaghetti. Garlic bread. Travis poured himself a big glass of wine like he always did. The kids were talking about school. Melanie was scrolling through her phone. Then Travis started talking about some guy at work. His old man moved in. Says it's hell. Whole house smells like arthritis cream and regret. He laughed. Then he added, "I mean, no offense, but seriously, there comes a time when old people need to stop holding on. Your time's past. Make room for the rest of us." I looked at my daughter. She didn't flinch. Just smiled. Like she agreed. Nobody looked at me. Nobody even noticed I'd stopped eating. After dinner, I took the plates. Scraped them clean. Ran the water hot. My hands shook the whole time. I stayed quiet. But inside, something was growing. I went to bed early that night. That couch digs into my back in 3 places, but I stared at the ceiling until my eyes burned. I thought about all the times I drove Melanie to dance practice, the late nights I stayed up sewing her Halloween costumes, the time Charles worked 2 shifts to buy her a piano. I thought about the house. The deed. The thing nobody else knew. In the morning, I called Mr. Rourke. He was surprised to hear from me. "Mary," he said, "it's been a long time." I told him I was ready. He didn't need more than that. When Charles died, everything went to me. Not just his savings, not just the small retirement fund. The house. The land. Everything. Mr. Rourke handled it all. Melanie never asked questions. When she and Travis begged to stay after the fire, I didn't think twice. Of course I let them. They were family. But over the years, they'd taken over like termites. Changed everything. Made it theirs. And I let them, because I didn't want to fight. Until that dinner. Mr. Rourke moved fast. I gave him all the details. How long they'd lived there. How much rent they hadn't paid. How they'd changed the locks when I was in the hospital overnight last year. Yes. That happened. I came back and couldn't get in. Melanie said it was for safety. He drafted everything. Sent the official letter. It hit their mailbox 2 weeks later. That night, Melanie stormed into the kitchen. "What the hell is this?" I was slicing apples for the boys' lunches. I didn't stop. She shoved the letter in my face. "Are you serious? You're kicking us out?" I looked her dead in the eyes. "I'm taking my house back." She froze. "Your house?" I nodded. It always was. You never asked. And I never told. But it's mine. She stood there, stunned. Travis came in, yelling. He called me names I won't repeat. Said I was selfish. Ungrateful. Delusional. He tried to talk legal. You don't have proof. Oh, I do, I said. So does Mr. Rourke. They spent the next week trying to dig for anything they could use. Talked to their own lawyer. But there was nothing. It was all clean. Everything had been in my name since 2007. When the eviction notice went up, they stopped talking to me altogether. Just cold looks. Slamming doors. The boys were confused. Lucas asked me if he'd still get his bedtime stories. I didn't know how to answer. They moved out near the end of July. Rented a small apartment across town. Travis had to downgrade his car. Melanie took on a second job. I stayed in the house for 1 more month. Then I handed the keys to a young woman named Rachel. She's got 2 girls and a golden retriever with 1 eye. She brings me flowers sometimes, just because. Now I rent a small place near the river. It's quiet. Peaceful. I go to bed without tiptoeing. I wake up without guilt. I still miss my grandsons. But I don't miss being invisible. And if anyone asks me why I did it, I say this. They laughed while I cleared their plates. And they forgot who put that food on the table to begin with. After they moved out, I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. 2 months after they left the house, I got a letter. Not an email. Not a phone call. A real letter. Certified. From a law firm I didn't recognize. Melanie and Travis were suing me. Unlawful eviction, the papers said. Mental distress. Violation of oral agreement. They were asking for money, almost $150,000. Claimed I promised them the house. Said they'd invested in it. Renovations, repairs, upgrades. They even included pictures of the new appliances they'd bought and the furniture they'd brought in. My hand shook as I read it. I almost called Mr. Rourke right then. But I waited. I needed a moment to let the betrayal really settle. Melanie was my only child. I raised her by myself after Charles passed. Worked 2 jobs. Cried in secret when she left for college. Paid off her loans when she couldn't. Never asked for anything in return. And now she wanted to drag me to court. I called Mr. Rourke the next day. He wasn't surprised. I've seen this before, he said. They think they can pressure you. They think you'll fold. But I didn't fold. We filed a countersuit. Documented every expense I'd paid while they lived there. Every tax bill. Every repair. Every grocery run I'd covered. Every month of unpaid rent. Rourke told me something else. Melanie and Travis were in debt. Deep. Credit cards maxed out. Travis had lost his job 3 months before they moved out. Melanie was working part-time at a dental office, barely holding things together. That's when I realized something even worse. They weren't just mad I kicked them out. They had planned to take the house all along. Travis had slowly pushed me out, subtle at first. Changed the locks for safety. Started handling the mail. Then the bills. Eventually, he told people it was his house. I overheard him on a phone call once, telling someone, "Yeah, it's under her name for now, but it'll be ours soon." I thought he was just talking big. But now it made sense. They thought I'd die in that house. Quietly. And they'd inherit it. That was the plan. Only I didn't die. And I didn't stay quiet. The court date was set. 3 months out. In the meantime, I started getting messages. Family members. Friends. People I hadn't heard from in years suddenly reaching out. "Hey, I heard about the drama. Maybe you should make peace. Family's all you have in the end. You sure you're not being too harsh? Apparently, Melanie had been telling people I'd lost my mind. That I was confused. Senile. That Travis had been taking care of me and I'd turned on them for no reason. She posted online a long Facebook rant about how I blindsided them and threw her grandchildren into the streets. She made herself the victim. And people believed her. At church, people avoided me. One woman asked if I needed help remembering things. Another offered to call someone in case I forgot my way home. I felt humiliated. But I stayed quiet. Because truth doesn't need to shout. I documented everything. Started a binder. Emails. Texts. Photos. I even found the old voicemail from Melanie, begging me to let them move in just for a while. It was all there. Meanwhile, Melanie and Travis kept spiraling. Travis started showing up at my new place. Once, he stood outside for an hour, just staring at my window. Another time, he followed me to the grocery store, whispered something under his breath as he walked past me. I didn't flinch. But I never went anywhere without pepper spray after that. The final straw came 2 weeks before the court date. Lucas, my oldest grandson, called me from a friend's phone. He was crying. "Nana," he said, "are you mad at me?" My heart cracked. "I'm not mad at you, baby." "Why would I be?" He sniffled. "Mom says you don't love us anymore." That did it. I wasn't going to let Melanie poison my grandsons just because she was losing control. I told Mr. Rourke to bring everything. Every document. Every voice recording. Every piece of proof. If they wanted a fight, they were about to get one. The day of the hearing came. It was cold, early December in Spokane, and the courthouse steps were slick with ice. I wore Charles's old coat, the one he used to wear to Sunday services. It still smelled faintly like cedar and pipe tobacco. Melanie didn't look at me when I walked in. She sat beside Travis in a tight gray skirt suit, her hair perfectly done, lips pressed in a hard line. Travis was wearing some shiny suit he couldn't afford. He kept glancing at his phone, like he had better places to be. Their attorney was young. Too young. He looked like he belonged in a classroom, not a courtroom. Probably someone they found on a payment plan. Mr. Rourke, on the other hand, came in like he owned the building. Leather briefcase. Calm walk. No small talk. We sat quietly while the judge reviewed the case file. When it started, Melanie's lawyer went in hard. He said I was unwell. Erratic. Claimed I'd always intended the house to be theirs. That I'd gone back on a verbal promise. That they'd contributed tens of thousands in improvements. But the numbers didn't add up. And the judge knew it. Then Rourke stood. He laid out everything, date by date, paper by paper. He showed the title history. Showed the signed letter Melanie had sent me years ago, thanking me for letting them stay temporarily. He showed bank records. Utility bills. The voicemail from Melanie begging to move in after the fire. But then he brought out something I didn't even know he had. A signed will. Not Charles's. Mine. He'd had me draft one back in 2010, when I was going through some health issues. It clearly stated that Melanie was not to inherit the house if she ever tried to take ownership without my consent. She had. So not only was she losing the house, they were also losing any future claim to it. The judge ruled in our favor. Threw out their case. Hit them with my legal fees. Ordered Melanie and Travis to pay back a portion of the rent value they'd avoided for years. It was a clean win. But the story didn't stop there. 2 days after the hearing, Lucas showed up at my door. Alone. He looked older somehow, even though he was just 12. Eyes red, lips tight. I brought him inside. Made him cocoa. "Nana," he said, "why'd you do it?" I froze. He wasn't angry. He just didn't understand. So I told him the truth. All of it. Slowly. Gently. I told him how his mom and dad had pushed me out. How they laughed at me. How they planned to take the house and leave me with nothing. I thought he'd cry. But he didn't. He just sat there, quiet, stirring his cocoa. Then he said something that stuck with me. I knew something was wrong. Dad always made us call it his house. But I remember, it used to be your house. With the flowers. He stayed for 3 hours. Melanie didn't even call to check if he was safe. Over the next few weeks, things got worse for them. I found out Travis had taken out loans using their furniture as collateral. Melanie's hours were cut at the dental office. They had to break their lease because they fell behind on rent. They moved into a crummy 2-bedroom across town. Closer to the industrial side. I didn't celebrate. I didn't smile. I just kept going. Then, a month later, I got another letter. Handwritten this time. From Melanie. It wasn't an apology. Not really. More like a long, confused mess of anger, guilt, and excuses. She said I humiliated them. That I'd destroyed the family. But at the bottom, in shaky letters, she wrote, I didn't know you kept everything all those years. I thought you didn't care. That's when it hit me. She hadn't just tried to steal the house. She'd rewritten our history in her mind. Made herself believe I owed her. That I'd failed her somehow. That letting me stay with them was some grand favor, not the other way around. But I kept every letter. Every receipt. Every voicemail. Every picture of her as a little girl hugging me tight. She just forgot. I didn't. And now, slowly, it's all unraveling for her. I heard from a neighbor that Travis left for good. Packed a bag and disappeared one night after another big fight. Took one of their credit cards and emptied it before he vanished. Melanie's alone with the boys now. And that's where I'm torn. She's still my daughter. But she burned every bridge with me. I didn't plan to see her again. After the court case, after the lies, after everything, part of me thought that was it. I had closed the door. I'd chosen peace over pain. But pain doesn't always stay gone. It was late March when the knock came. I was up early like usual, sipping my coffee, reading the paper. My new neighbor's dog barked twice, and then I heard it. A soft knock. Like the person on the other side wasn't sure they should even be trying. I opened the door. It was Melanie. Her face looked older. Not just tired. Broken. Dark bags under her eyes, hair pulled back in a rough ponytail, a stain on her coat sleeve. She held a manila envelope in her hand like it weighed 50 pounds. We stared at each other. Didn't speak. Just stood there in silence for what felt like forever. Then she said, "Can I come in?" I let her. She sat at the edge of my kitchen table chair, like she didn't want to touch anything. Like she was afraid she'd break more than she already had. "I'm sorry," she said finally. I waited. I know I can't take back what I did. And I know I was cruel. I thought, she shook her head. I thought you'd always be there. I thought you owed me that. She slid the envelope toward me. I didn't reach for it yet. She looked up. I started therapy. Court-ordered at first, but I kept going. They made me write a letter to someone I hurt. I picked up the envelope, slowly. Inside were 5 pages. Handwritten. No crossouts, no rambling. Just clean, neat lines. She told me how angry she'd been for years, how she blamed me for not being enough after Dad died. How she thought I'd held back, when the truth was she hadn't really looked at what I had done. She told me how Travis made her feel like she needed to control something. How she started believing his version of things. How that felt safer than the truth. She didn't beg. She didn't ask for anything. She just said sorry. And left. She didn't even finish her coffee. I sat there for a long time after she walked out. I read the letter twice. Then a third time. It didn't fix anything. But it was something. 3 weeks passed. Then Lucas came to see me again. He didn't ask for candy or cocoa this time. He just sat next to me on the porch swing. "Mom says you're mad at her forever," he said. I sighed. "I'm not mad. I'm tired." He looked at me. "She's different now. She doesn't cry as much. And she makes dinner again. From scratch." I nodded. "That's good." He hesitated. "She said she wants to come see you again." So I let her. This time she came with both boys. She didn't try to hug me. She didn't come in. Just stood on the steps. "I was going to give up the boys," she said. "After Travis left. I thought I couldn't handle it. I almost signed papers." I froze. "Foster care?" She nodded. "But Lucas begged me not to. Said Nana wouldn't give up. Why should we?" That hit me harder than any courtroom fight. Then she said, "I started looking for work. Real work. Not part-time. I got a job at a medical billing office." I could tell she was trying, not for show, not to win me back, but for herself. That mattered. But I wasn't ready to forgive everything. So I did something else. I gave her a key. Not to my house. To a one-bedroom apartment I'd bought quietly years ago. The same year Charles died. It was in a safer part of town. Clean, quiet, near a school. It had been sitting empty for years. Just collecting dust. I was going to sell it, I said. "But the boys deserve better than where you are now." Melanie cried. Not loud. Just quietly. Head down, shaking hands. "I don't deserve this," she whispered. "No," I said. "But they do." She took the key with both hands like it might disappear. They moved in a week later. I gave her no money, no second chances, and no ownership. I set rules. Boundaries. No more hiding behind guilt or blood. She kept to it. And over time, months, not days, things started to change. She got promoted. She brought the boys over every other weekend. They helped me with yard work. Cooked Sunday meals. We didn't talk about the past unless we had to. Until the day Lucas asked if he could stay the summer. Melanie said yes without blinking. That summer, I taught him how to fix a sink, how to cook stew from scratch, how to tell when someone's lying by how they blink. He asked me once, "Will you forgive her?" I said, "Maybe. Not yet. But maybe." Then came the letter from the bank. Apparently, Travis had taken out credit cards in Melanie's name without telling her. Old debts she didn't know existed were piling up. She'd ignored them. Now they were coming back to bite her. They sued her for over $80,000. She came to me, terrified. "I don't know what to do." I stared at her for a long time. Then I said, "You'll go to court. You'll show proof. You'll fight." She shook her head. "I can't afford a lawyer." I reached into my drawer and handed her a business card. "Mr. Rourke owes me one more favor." We won that case, too. Not because I stepped in, but because Melanie showed the court every single record. She proved she didn't open those accounts. She stood on her own this time. After the hearing, she looked at me with tears in her eyes and said, "I didn't run." "No," I said. "You didn't." 2 years later, I put my house in a living trust. Not in Melanie's name. In the boys' names. When they turn 25, it will be theirs. I told Melanie over coffee one day. She nodded. "I don't deserve it anyway." That's not the point, I said. They do. And I'll be around to make sure they don't forget where it came from. She looked up. You still think I'm the same? No, I said. But I remember who you were. And I'm not letting her in again. Melanie never asked for more. She just thanked me. And for the first time in years, I believed her. Sometimes, revenge isn't fire and fury. Sometimes, it's just making sure the people who tried to erase you never get to write the ending. I still keep the letter she wrote me. Not because I need the apology. But because I want to remember that even the deepest betrayals can bloom into something better, if you make the one who betrayed you earn every inch of the road back. And if they don't? You take everything they thought they had. And leave them with nothing but silence.